Good afternoon and welcome. Let's take a look at the top story that we are tracking for you. European Union leaders look forward to the Joe Biden administration taking charge as they slam outgoing US President Donald Trump for the Capitol riots. EU Commission Chief Ursula von der Leyen has said that she has faith that Biden will do his best to restore law and order in the US.
Ich habe Vertrauen in die amerikanische Demokratie und ihre Institutionen. Ich bin sicher, dass die Amerikaner mit dieser Situation jetzt bedacht umgehen werden in den nächsten 14 Tagen. Aber ich freue mich vor allen Dingen auf den neuen amerikanischen Präsidenten.
German Chancellor Angela Merkel said that the violence at the Capitol building was outrageous and that she was appalled that Trump did nothing to stop it.
Wir alle haben ja die verstörenden Bilder von der Erstürmung des Kongresses gestern Abend gesehen. Und mich haben diese Bilder wütend und auch traurig gemacht. Und ich bin mir ziemlich sicher, da geht es mir wie den allermeisten Freunden der Vereinigten Staaten von Amerika, wie Millionen Menschen, die Amerikas demokratische Tradition bewundern.
French President Emmanuel Macron said that universal suffrage was violated in the US when supporters of a sitting president challenged legitimate poll results.
Quand, dans une des plus vieilles démocraties du monde, des partisans d'un président sortant remettent en cause par les armes les résultats légitimes d'une élection, c'est une idée universelle, celle d'un homme, une voix, qui est battue en brèche.
The Eurozone is aiming to renew its relations with Washington as Trump prepares to leave office. Strategic and economic ties between the bloc and the US took a hit as Trump pushed his America First policy. There were also disagreements on climate change, nuclear proliferation, and human rights. However, the bloc hopes for a change after Biden takes oath. Earlier, Brussels welcomed Biden's announcement that the US will rejoin the Paris Climate Change Accord. Trump had pulled Washington out of the agreement.
The United States Supreme Court heard oral argument in the middle of the nation's worst pandemic. Let's be out.
Now we are being joined by Chipande, correspondent of the German news DW. Hi, and thank you for speaking to us from Berlin. Now, what are some of the other reactions you are seeing from European policymakers?
Well, we've had a reaction from German Chancellor Angela Merkel saying that she was and angry, of course, at the images that she saw. And she also reminded us of what democracy is all about. She said there's always a winner and a loser in democracy, and those two sides have to receive the results with respect and decency for democracy to be a winner at the end. And that's what democracy is all about. And of course, that was also a jab at Donald Trump, who she mentioned that she was disappointed that Donald Trump had still not conceded his loss to Joe Biden in the November election last year. So those were clear words. And of course, we also saw Donald Trump being criticized by British PM Boris Johnson. And of course, he's been on friendlier terms with Trump than some other European leaders. And he said that Trump had encouraged those protesters, the people who were at his rally, to head to the Capitol and pretty much, of course, end up engaging in rioting. So, of course, clear words from Europe, from French leader, of course, French President Emmanuel Macron, also saying this is not the United States. NATO Secretary General, who said that the election results should be respected. And of course, the German foreign minister, who also said that an attack on U.S. democracy is something that affects all of us. So, of course, European leaders are seeing this as an attack on democracy beyond the United States, but
Absolutely.
also, Europe and across the world.
Right, Chipanda, on that, do you think that the Europeans fear or think that something like this could happen in Europe too?
Well, some of the people, the groups that we saw protesting, at the U.S. Capitol and rioting, those groups, the QAnon, conspiracy theorists, right-wing extremists, those groups are also active here in Europe. Of course, there are concerns as well. Here in Germany, the Speaker of the German Bundestag, Wolfgang Schäuble, has ordered for security at the Parliament building, the Reichstag, to be reviewed following what happened in the United States at the US Capitol this week. So obviously that's also a sign that there is a bit of concern. And of course, here in Germany, we've seen something similar a few months ago when right-wing protesters made it to the steps of the Reichstag Parliament building. They weren't able to get in because policemen were able to stop them from getting in, and of course there were smaller numbers. But that is something that is reminiscent of something that is fairly recent here in Germany. So there is concern, and of course, like I mentioned before, some of those groups are similar to groups here in Europe as well. So that's reason to be concerned.
And what has the reaction been from the ordinary man on the street?
Well, the ordinary people on the street are also very surprised. In a sense, in Germany, it's also because it reminded them of what had happened at the Reichstag a few months ago. Of course, like I mentioned, with those people making it to the steps of the Reichstag. But of course, also because the United States is probably the world's most powerful democracy and one of the world's oldest democracies. And so that was sort of an attack on the symbol of what democracy is, where lawmakers are based and are making decisions. And are supposed to make we're supposed to be, making a very important, certifying the results of the November elections. So that was also something that they were surprised by because, of course, security forces in the United States weren't prepared for what happened, obviously. And this is why those people were able to make it into the US Capitol. So that's something that has shocked everyone. And of course, everybody was just surprised and amazed.
And now the relations between Europe and the US have been strained during the Trump presidency. How do you expect it to change during a Biden presidency?
Well, Joe Biden, of course, was vice president during the Obama administration. During the Obama administration, Europe enjoyed good relations with Brussels. That changed, Europe enjoyed good relations with Washington, that is. And that changed, of course, during the Trump administration. We saw the United States pull out of the Paris Agreement, the climate change agreement. We saw the United States also pull out of the Iran nuclear deal, which was signed in 2015, together with the Obama administration. And, of course, we also saw tariffs on European goods, starting with aluminum and steel in 2018. So the hope, right now from EU policymakers and lawmakers is that the incoming administration will reset the relationship and that Europe can count on Washington as a partner when it comes to working together, when it comes to trade, to security, and to climate change. So that is the hope here. And we spoke with an EU parliamentarian who, of course, also said there is of optimism and they do believe it will be better. And the Biden administration also has a lot of people from the Obama administration, and Joe Biden himself has also mentioned that he would like to work together with Europe in coming up with a strategy, for instance, for dealing with China. So definitely there's hope that there's going to be a change for the better.
All right, Wanda, thank you very much for joining us. Great to speak to you as always, bringing us all the latest out of Europe.
Co-presented by Skoda. Simply clever.
WION, now available in your country. Download the app now. Get all the news on the move.